Today is Friday, August 29th, 2025. Welcome to This Week in Natural Refrigerants News, where we recap the top stories on naturalrefrigerants.com.
This podcast is generated and read by artificial intelligence and may contain pronunciation errors.
We're your hosts, AT.
And MO, and the articles for today's podcast were organized by naturalrefrigerants.com's managing editor and written by its writers.
You can find links to each article in the show notes. All right, let's jump right in. First up, we've got a pretty significant analysis from Danfoss. They're predicting Europe is really going to pull ahead in adopting natural refrigerants by 2032.
That's right. They see CO2, so R744, ammonia, R717, or hydrocarbons becoming, dominant across the board in the EU residential, commercial, industrial, stationary refrigeration.
And that's different from other regions.
Yeah, they expect a slower pace for North America, China, and the rest of the world. So Europe's really taking the lead here.
Interesting. What about the specific refrigerants? Any trends there?
Definitely. Ammonia, for instance. It's already key for those 1 to 10 megawatt commercial and industrial refrigeration and heat pump jobs globally.
Okay.
And Danfoss thinks ammonia CO2 cascade systems will likely dominate the industrial refrigeration scene by 2032.
And CO2 on its own, R744.
Also growing. It's making headway in those same 1 to 10 megawatt applications worldwide, and it's projected to become the main choice for centralized food retail racks everywhere by 2032.
Okay, that's significant for retail. What about hydrocarbons? R290, R600A. They're common in home fridges already.
Right, they dominate residential globally, but the prediction is they'll expand, especially in Europe, into light commercial uses and also residential AC and heating by 2032.
And Danfoss has a way of looking at this, right? Some kind of model.
Yeah, their 7 forces model. It's how they assess the viability by looking at affordability, safety, environmental factors, but also market stuff. It's a balanced view.
Okay, shifting gears a bit. There's news on the European safety standard, EN 378. A new draft is out?
Yes, pre-EN 378.2025. It came out July 3rd, and the comment period is open until September 25th. The final vote is slated for 2026.
So, still time for feedback. What's the significance here?
Well, Daniel Colburn from Refrig described the changes as significant advances for natural refrigerants. He specifically mentioned hydrocarbons, saying the standard has historically been very obstructive towards them.
So making it easier to use hydrocarbons safely.
Essentially, yeah. More practical, risk-based. But Colburn also warned there's considerable opposition. He's urging stakeholders to vote positively because negative votes could water down the parts that actually support naturals.
Right, that makes sense. What are some key changes in this draft?
Part 1 has some big ones. Better ways to figure out room size limits, refrigerant amounts, and this new idea called the releasable charge concept.
Releasable charge.
Yeah, it helps fine-tune the safety assessment. And importantly, EN 378 doesn't just set one single charge limit for flammables. It's a calculation.
A calculation based on?
Based on the refrigerant type, the room size, and the safety classification of the equipment. So maximums vary. It's much more flexible than a single hard cap.
Flexibility sounds good. Okay, let's move across the Atlantic. Big news from Advancer in Costa Rica.
Oh yeah, this is impressive. They've installed what's being called Latin America's largest single CO2 rack. It's a 1.7 megawatt steel XL unit.
Wow, 1.7 megawatts. Where'd it go?
A new Walmart distribution center down in San Jose, Costa Rica.
Okay, what kind of capacity are we talking about?
It provides 950 kilowatts for medium temp cooling with a seasonal energy performance ratio, or CPR, of 3.56 and 510 kilowatts for low temp, CPR 1.96. Plus, it offers 246 kilowatts for heating.
And they're using that heat.
They are. Recovered heat is used for the freezer room floor heating. The system's also quite efficient, uses parallel compression and those permanent magnet motors.
And why is CO2 for Walmart? Any insight there?
Apparently, they cited lower capital expenditure and lower on-site implementation costs compared to other natural refrigerant options they considered. So, a strong business case.
Makes sense.
And Mauricio Baena, who's the Advancer LATAM sales manager, pointed out that, CO2 is already proven in stores in the region. He said this install really cements their leadership in Latin America.
And this isn't an isolated case, right? CO2 in LATAM industrial.
Not at all. The Atmosphere 2024 report actually noted that as of December last year, there were already 100 industrial sites in Latin America using transcritical CO2 systems. So the trend is definitely there.
Okay, finally today, let's look at a really thought-provoking study. It came out of the first IR International Conference on Refrigeration, Adapting to Rising Temperatures.
Yes, this one directly compares risks, specifically the climate mortality risks from HFC emissions versus the flammability fatality risks if we switched widely to hydrocarbons in refrigeration, AC, and heat pumps.
Comparing climate deaths to potential fire deaths, that sounds intense. What do they find?
It's pretty stark. Under what they call the current legislation with minimum effort scenario, basically,
Yeah.
not doing much more than we are now, HFC emissions could contribute to, get this, 10,000 to 25,000 deaths annually by 2050 due to climate impacts.
10 to 25,000
Yeah.
annually. Wow. How does that compare to the hydrocarbon scenario?
Vastly different. Under the natural refrigerant maximum effort scenario, so widespread hydrocarbon use, they estimate around 150 annual fatalities from flammability incidents.
So 150 versus potentially 25,000.
It's a difference of 2 to 3 orders of magnitude. Huge.
And were the assumptions fair?
They actually tried to be conservative. The study used optimistic assumptions for HFCs, meaning assuming lower impact and pessimistic ones for hydrocarbons, assuming higher risk, just to make the comparison really robust.
Right.
Even then, the HFC climate impact dwarfs the hydrocarbon flammability risk.
That really reframes the safety discussion. Did they look at HFOs?
They didn't quantify HFOs, mainly due to lack of data. But they did mention the ongoing concerns, about decomposition products like TFA, trifluoroacetic acid, and also potential flammability risks for technicians working with some HFOs, which they noted could even be worse than hydrocarbons in certain situations.
So it suggests we need a much broader view of risk than just immediate flammability or toxicity.
Exactly. It really pushes you to consider the long-term systemic risks like climate change impacts right alongside the direct operational risks.
This is AT.
And MOO. And this has been the week in natural refrigerant news.